Oh my gosh.
We're doing a Jeep session.
I I am. I had a meeting that went late and I'm like 10 minutes from my home office and 10 minutes from my office. You guys get me stuck in a Wendy's parking lot. Hopefully you can hear me all right too. All right, it looks like I've let everybody and their otter and their note taker and everything else in. Oh my gosh. I got one,
How is there
three,
more AIs
four.
on here than there are people?
I don't know. There's one, two, three, four. Was there five of them?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my gosh. Out of control. Out of control. All right. How's
This is a
everybody
meeting
doing?
for only real live human people.
And then, well, I want to figure out too, like, I don't mind all the note takers, but they get in the way. Like, I can't, like, I guess, I don't know if I could,
You can hide non-video participants.
I could do that. I don't want to make them a host. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I got it. Hide the non-video. Perfect.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Oh, no. I didn't mean. I know Seth was here and now I don't see him. Oh, I hid all on.
I can see Seth.
You see Seth? I hid. There's
did.
Seth. All right. I was trying to hide the note takers, but I did non-video participants. And
Seth is on there.
Yeah, I got him now. As soon as you turned your camera on, Seth was back on my screen. So I can only see people that have their video on now. What I'd like to be able to do is hide the note takers. Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So Brandon, is this taking Jeep Day to Friday Jeep Day to a different level? Just working in your Jeep all day?
I tell you what, you and Seth will appreciate. I had a meeting in Alpharetta, and I started like, okay, I'm heading home, and then I realized I didn't have enough time to get home. But by that time, if I turned around and gone to the Alpharetta office, I didn't have time to do that either for you guys to be on time. So I'm in a Wendy's parking lot.
Should have come to my house.
Where the heck am I? Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right. Hey, we got a lot of people. This is good. Hey, what I want to talk about today. First, I want to spend some time hearing from you guys. Like, what are you learning? What are you experiencing? What are some of the challenges or frustrations, and what are some of the wins? And I wanted to spend some time talking about mindset and process today, because what I'm learning more and more on social right now is it's this attention deficit world that we live in that we're really fighting. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to say the right thing every time. We don't need to send the right message to the right person every time. Like, this is about getting into a rhythm and being consistent. And it's kind of like then the cream rises to the top from that happening. And I don't know if that made any sense in the world, but I'm going to do my best today to try and explain what I mean by all that. So,
hey, Brandon, can I share something to that point?
Yeah.
And this is one thing that I've learned in the last 3 weeks, at least, maybe 4 weeks. The two posts that got the most engagement were posts where I was just like, crap, I need to post something, and did them both in about 20 minutes. And they were both human, and it was the highest two engagements I got, and ones I spent a lot of times, strategically planning, weren't even close to those two.
What were the topics when you said they were human? Were they human with a business message, like a human picture with the business message?
Well, one was the one with the flowers, and
Right.
which was it doesn't have to be expensive to work, and the other one was the uh, don't step over the dollars chasing pennies.
Mm,
Or actually, it was don't chase pennies and miss the dollars
right.
with a picture of
Okay.
pennies and dollars.
Yeah. What what else? What are you guys have experienced? What are you learning? And Seth, I'm going to ask you to share your booth experience at some point too.
Yeah, so this week in Atlanta, down at the World Congress Center's MODEX, which is a huge show of manufacturing, about 30,000 attendees. It's 4 days, 1,150 suppliers. So anything from forklifts to robots, all kinds of stuff. So it was our first time down there at this conference, and we were marketing our software that a lot of manufacturing organizations utilize. And so Brandon and his team did some geofencing for us, and I recorded a video that just said, "Hey, come see us in Building A, booth number 10106. Here's what I gave a little 30-second elevator speech on what we're offering, and this guy shows up and said, "I saw your video, and what you're providing is exactly what I'm looking for. Let's talk." So it worked.
And it's another one too. I'm assuming that is never liked anything, never commented on anything. You didn't even necessarily know he was there, other than a connection.
Right, and it just happened that right when he walked up, Brandon walked up, and Brandon heard the whole conversation. He was just standing back there grinning, saying, "Yep, there it works."
Let the fist
Yeah,
bump
no,
fly,
I mean,
man.
it's. I
That's
mean,
it.
he and the guy's name's Armando, and we've been friends on LinkedIn for several years, and it just, the planets aligned and the messaging was right, and he saw my video.
Hey, Seth, was it the ad that he saw? Like, Brandon, the way that you guys, when you geofence and you push that information out, it doesn't come across like an ad, but it is paid, but it's a paid effort, right?
Yeah, I don't know which one, Seth, did he see? Do you know if he saw the one of you in the booth, or he saw some of your videos that we've published over the last few weeks?
I think he saw. Well, the way I understood it, he saw the video that ran that day. So I don't think he saw the stuff leading up to it, because he said, "Hey, I just saw your video." So that's what.
Okay. So, and he is connected to you. You are LinkedIn connections.
Yeah, we are one connections on LinkedIn. So.
Okay. So it'd be interesting to ask him and get some detail on which one, because the geofence ad we showed to anybody in a 1 mile radius of the event center. So he may have seen one that we published for you before because you're a connection, but he may have seen the one that day, he may have seen both. I don't know.
Right.
But I would be curious.
Okay.
Cool. And Chris, tell us about the $100,000 deal that you had, the lady that sent you a message on looking at your LinkedIn post.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the exhibits that we executed in San Diego at AAD. Company is called Crown Laboratories, and she's somebody, similar to what Seth was saying, somebody that I've been connected to for probably 8 years, 7, 8 years or something like that. We had met because I was active in that vertical market a bunch of years ago. We did a pitch, but by no means were we, close or staying. I'd see her probably not comment very much, but I'd see her picture, as somebody who liked my activity across the board. And probably 8 weeks ago at this point, she reached out and said, "Hey, listen, we've been working with another vendor. We are unhappy. I follow you on LinkedIn. I'm seeing what you guys are doing. I need your help." And we ended up pulling something together like in 6 weeks, which is about half the time that we would ideally like. But it all, kind of came together and kind of, again, stars kind of aligned. And then I was with her in San Diego. It's the first time I've ever really met her in person. So we went out and had a drink and some appetizers and just kind of chatted. And it was great to kind of see what that story or what the reality of what that situation kind of created.
Yeah, thanks for that. What's anyone else? Hey, Mike O'Connor, good to see you here.
I thought I'd pop in.
Yeah.
I see all these guys who like do the text messaging over LinkedIn, and I had an opportunity today to
Well,
come
good.
in and see him in person.
Awesome. Well, good. What, anyone else? What are some of the wins, or what are you experiencing? What are you seeing? And Cups, you've had a couple of meetings set up from Ream. I don't know the details of those. Hopefully they worked out good. I know there's been some stuff you've been concerned about. You're on mute.
One thing you have to do is unmute. And the other
Good first step.
yeah, step one. This is a tangent. Yes, we've got a couple meetings. They were with potential business partners. They were good. They weren't necessarily customers, but they could lead us to customers. So it's all the ecosystem, right? And they were good conversations. The one thing that and this may take us off on a tangent you don't want to go on today, Brandon, but one thing that is becoming very clear is the scammers and spammers are getting really clever. Just some of the profiles that Reem and I are seeing, they seem legit, but then when you dig under the cover a little bit, or when you connect with them, they're immediately asking for your WhatsApp number, stuff like that. It's just, they're getting really clever, which is unfortunate, in my opinion, which makes me question, or not question, but we need to be a little more
cautious.
And well, one of the practices that you've taught us is when somebody looks at your profile, then they may be warm to connect with. But I think what I've learned is I need to just do a little bit more research before I send that connection request. So. Yeah,
that's a good distinction. So I've gotten more. Let me share with you what I do now is I pull up the who's viewed my profile, and I can show it to you guys if you want. As I'm going through, if it's somebody by name and I can see a little bit of their headline that I'm at all interested in, because there's some now I just go, nope, don't care. Then I'll right click and right click on their name and say open in the new tab. So it opens up, and then I'll go look. And first thing I'm looking at is number of connections. And then I'm looking at their post activity. And then I'm looking at really the name of their job. I've been getting a lot of like really beautiful Asian women that say that they're on the board of BlackRock and stuff like that, right? It's ridiculous. And they've got like 10 connections or something. So you can see that pretty clearly. And then I just move on and don't worry about it. But that's the way I'm going through it. And I am picking up a lot of really great connections right now. I mean, my view profile is picked up a lot. Like I'm getting, 20, 30, 40 a day right now. And I'd say half of them are people in sales or in leadership. Right now, I got a ton of them from Microsoft because of the webinar that Carson and I are doing. But so Cups, to your point, we've got to be aware of that. We're in our team meeting yesterday. We decided we're gonna build out a carousel post of all the bad LinkedIn direct messages we've been getting. So if you guys get some really bad ones, I know Adam, you've shared some really good ones with me over the years. You get some really funny ones or bad ones, just do a quick capture of it, send it to me, and we'll put them in. We'll compile this carousel of a bunch of the bad messages that come out.
Yeah.
Chris, you have your hand.
The other side, I would say, Brandon, just on the good side, it's still, like it or not, as much as I don't like selfies, those tend to get the most reactions and follows. And so
Yep.
I missed an opportunity. I had a long road trip, but it was because I just didn't want to stop and do anything. I just wanted to get where I was going. But it's you know, that still continues to be the top voice getter, if you will.
Yeah, Chris, I saw your hand up. Give me 1 second. Cubs, tell us a little bit about the one that you did in front of Panera, because it was a selfie. It was in front of Panera. You had your iced tea. You talked about their program, but you brought in a little bit of business side to that too, right? It wasn't a pure personal.
Yeah. And first off, I want to say I'm not advertising Panera. I'm actually don't kind of like their food, but they have a sip club that anytime I pass a Panera, I can go in and get a free ice. It's not free iced tea. I pay a subscription for it, and they always send me every month how much I drank more than I paid for, which I like. So and I'm an iced tea drinker, so that works. So what I was talking about, how I tied it to business is consistency. Now, when I'm traveling and I see a Panera, I know I can go get an iced tea, I can get a Wi-Fi connection, and I can get some work done. And so that's what I posted about, is just that consistency, being reliable and consistent. For our business, productivity gains is about being consistent and being reliable. So I just tied it into that concept. And it wasn't so much about the Panera as much as I know that when I see it, I get a tea and a Wi-Fi connection. So that was kind of what I tied together. So.
And tell us about the post. I know it got good engagement, but what were some of the comments, or were any business conversations or any potential business connections come out of it? And before you answer, just a reminder, everybody, especially on those posts, I can share what I've done. We go look and see everybody who's liked it, and see if there's anybody in there that we want to have a conversation with, who we're connected to, or anyone who we're not connected to, but we should be. And we use that as an opportunity. Those are all like door openings for us to expand our network. And remember, we've known this since our entire career, right? It's all about who we know, not just what we know. So Cups, I know Reem does some of that for you, but was there anything that came out of that?
There were a couple of observations. One is, people that liked it are usually not active in my space, but I've been connected with them in some way, business connections. And they're talking about senior people. And senior people don't always, in at least in our business in healthcare, they're not always the most active in LinkedIn, but I know several of them liked that. The other was because I looked particularly tired in that picture. There was a CIO that I worked with years ago that popped in and said something about, it's not something else, it's the eyes or something like that. That's why you look tired or something. But anyway, it allowed me to pick up a quick chat with him and check in on how he's doing. So it's not favorable for doing business right now with him, but it was still a connection that I probably hadn't talked to in 2 years. So it was good to reconnect with him. We had a fun chat, and next time I'm in his area, I'll definitely have a meeting with him. So.
I want to pause on that, is that I think those are really, really powerful engagements for us. And I know that one, he's not in the buying opportunity right now, so it's not fast, but you re-solidified, and I love the way you did it. You see that someone liked it. I hit it. I sent him a quick message. I just did this the other day with somebody as well. I said, hey, I saw that you liked it. We hadn't chatted for a while. I hope you're doing well. Shot me a message back. Oh yeah, thanks. I've been doing well. Hey, I've been really enjoying your content, especially around creating demand versus capturing demand. I'm in a new role. I'd love to talk to you about it. Right? That one came up, but you never know when those opportunities or referral are going to come out. I mean, this is our networking at scale. So I appreciate that you took that opportunity and said, hey, who's liked it? Who in there I'd like to just chat with? And if you want to move it to a call, then ask them, hey, I saw that you liked this post. Thanks for that. Been thinking about you. Could we jump on a call? Or you got 15 minutes for a catch-up call? If not, it's just that message, that text, the copy only that says, hey, saw that you liked it. Thanks so much. I hope you're doing well. And sometimes I do it that way intentionally, just to see, will they pick up and run with anything? Will they respond at all? Like, I kind of like leaving it generic sometimes because I prefer when they open the door on a sales conversation instead of me trying to open the door on a sales conversation. That makes sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So cool. Chris, you had your hand raised a while ago. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all good stuff here. I was just away for a week, 2 shows. So I've got some interesting kind of observations, as it were, with regards to posting pictures from events, and kind of the differences that I saw. So I was in San Diego. I had a few clients at a particular show. So they're in a competitive market space, so I wouldn't necessarily post about them together. And so I had 2 posts that went up basically at the same time. I think I did them on Saturday morning, pictures of each exhibit. I tagged a few people. Neither one did very well at all. I got, a few responses of, oh, looks good, whatever, just kind of weren't. Again, that's kind of a long-term portfolio piece. Like I look at that kind of like what you were saying earlier is, we're just creating consistency and building a rhythm. So that information, those pictures are out there. When people think about me, hopefully think about this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to exhibits and trade shows. And I'll put that, I guess, in comparison to the post that went up yesterday for my execution in Vegas for GoTo. Bigger company, certainly a little bit more kind of notoriety, especially kind of in and around the LinkedIn space. And I tagged a bunch of people in it. And I found in the past that tagging the customer, client, and as well as a bunch of people tends to add to the traction of that post considerably, because everybody they're connected to now is going to see that, especially if they go in and comment, which I've gotten some, feedback, not as much as I would have liked, but anyways, as a comparative, the 2 posts from the booths over the weekend were about 500, eyeballs on that, versus this one's already a day old and it's like 2,500, kind of looks at it. So I'm like, okay, that's a good thing. So I guess what my lesson from that is, like, the more people that you can tag and associate with it, it helps expand the reach. And then I'm going to basically shine a light on a post from like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, where on my way back from skiing, stopped and met an old friend who I had done a bunch of work with in the past. She lives in Woodstock, Vermont. Stopped in, we had a coffee. It was, 45 minutes. It was great just to kind of catch up with her. And I said, hey, let's get a picture together. It wasn't a selfie, but it was a picture of the 2 of us sitting there just having a coffee. And that has like blown up. That's by far my best interaction and reach in months. That one's at like 4,500, and I haven't done anything close to that since I put a picture of my wife up. So me and me not so good. Me and a pretty girl, much better. So that's helpful.
Winning formula.
Exactly, right. But what I really liked about the post with, her name was Katie, is it was a shout out to her. So she's just starting her own event group, or her own event company. She's an outsourced kind of corporate planner. She can do a bunch of stuff. So I tagged her in it, and her network, which isn't huge, she's not super active, but that blew up, and that had a whole bunch of people commenting on it that were also corporate event planners for bigger companies. So
good for you.
I went through and I was like, look at all these second level connections that I've got. And I'm looking at their profile and I'm like, oh yeah, want to know them. So I basically went through and tried to connect with each single person. I haven't got a ton of, responses on that as of yet. I'm trying to remember. I think I did. How did you go
about doing that?
On some of them,
you sent.
So on mobile, if you hit connect, it just goes straight in. But if you do it on your PC, then it gives you an opportunity to write a little note. And I think I did most of those from mobile. So it was just a quick, like, boom, boom, boom.
So there is, if you scroll down on number one, in that situation, I highly, highly recommend a note.
Yeah.
Right. Why you're doing it, because you want look, we're all busy people. you want to bring their memory back to how they know you
Mhm.
or where they just saw you. So, hey, I saw that you liked the picture of whatever her name was, and I got me looking at your profile. We're kind of in the same industry. Is it okay if we connect?
Mm.
Something along those lines, because you want to bring their memory back to, or bring it top of mind, that you're not cold. You're not some stranger out there. There is a reason that you are connecting with them. Now in mobile, you can click on their three dots and it'll say personalize the invite.
Mm.
And obviously highly recommend you take the time to do that.
Yeah, no, that's good point. And in retrospect, I certainly should have put a little extra time into that.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking a little bit about, or I have been thinking about really kind of two things, is that when I look at like the interaction and so forth that I'm getting, I can look at the data of like who's replying or who's viewed my post. And by and large, I see mostly salespeople. Ultimately, I guess I'm connected to a lot of folks in the sales world, where in reality, I need more CMOs. I need more, event directors. I need more people on kind of the marketing and event side. So I'm kind of on a mission to build up my followership with more folks who could be potential customers. Right now, I think I'm connected to a whole bunch of stuff, or a whole bunch of people that are potentially somebody that can recommend me. But I need to fill my kind of followership and my connection base with more people who are potential customers of mine.
Yeah. And so here's one thing I want to make sure that I heard you say, and I want to make sure that you see it in there. You took a picture with this gal who's in the event space. You tagged her, and then you got a bunch of people from the event space who are the ones that you want to talk to, liking it and potentially commenting on it. You've got more shows coming up. Go repeat that the best way that you can. Find the event people from the companies that are there that you know or you want to know, and go meet them, and take a picture with them and tag them and thank them. Great meeting you, whatever. I did this twice with Modex. Seth, I was there for a couple of days with Seth and his team. I went and met with Will Quinn, who is known on LinkedIn as the distribution guy. Went to his booth, took a selfie with him. We had our, arms around each other, tagged him, and actually tagged Seth and his company at the same time. So I was like, great seeing Will at Infor, here with Seth and Competitive Solutions, and really cool. Sorry, guys. Put all of that in one post with the selfie. And that one with Will, I think was up over 4,000. And lots of likes, and gone through there and started connecting with a lot of people from the distribution space because of Will, and a couple of people that I know were mutual connections or Seth's connections. Here's another thing that I've learned, and I think we try to. I want to make sure you guys pause when you see stuff like that works. We can get so caught up in, did I write the right message? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I send it? Did I publish it the right time? Like today, I've been so busy since 6:30 this morning. I haven't even published today. And there's part of me that's like bugging me that I haven't published yet. And there's part of me that's like, you know what? It just is what it is. But here's the thing that I saw from this past week too, and my brain's going, all right, guys, how do we recreate this stuff? Because this was good and we could manipulate it or recreate it the best that we can. Seth, that post that I did with the selfie of me and Quentin and Paul in your booth, Shane, because I tagged Competitive Solutions, I tagged all the guys, I used the hashtag for Modex, and Shane, their CEO, is that his title, Seth? He's CEO. The CEO of Competitive Solutions shared that post within a few minutes of me publishing it. And the views, the impressions went through the roof. I think it's up over 6,000 now. Well, the learning from that I realized was when he shared that so quick after I published it, it hit the algorithm like, oh, this must be important. Because I get a lot of my stuff, not a lot, but some, they get reshared, especially when I have like, hey, here's what you do, here's how to do this thing. Those get reshared. But what I realized on this one is he shared it probably within 5 minutes of posting it, and the impressions went up. So I'm thinking we could coordinate these things. How can we, Chris, you're at these events. For any of you, you take a picture, you're going to go tag somebody in their company. Are there other people in that company that we could get to reshare it? Say, we're going to post this. Will you go in and be prepared to reshare it? And see how that amplifies some of our messaging. Look, this isn't like I'm going to go build a whole strategy around it and waste a whole bunch of time. But when I see little things like this that move the needle quite a bit, I like to pause and go, could we easily recreate that? Or how could I systematize that to take advantage of it? I wanted to make sure that you guys had that in your mind as well.
So Brandon, I'm doing something similar, and it may work for you, Chris. I'm not sure. And I don't know if it's a waste of my time or not, but I do it anyway. There's a few big accounts that I care about, right? Elevance Health, Humana, CVS, Aetna, et cetera. And I've just started following their page. And if I see something from their CEO, in your case, Chris, maybe it's a CMO of a company that you'd like to land, and I go comment on that post almost as if I know the CEO or the CFO. And what is interesting from that is I see a number of the company people that then go look at my profile. So I'm sure they're looking at that like, who's this guy? And they just go click on me and go see that. But it does drive awareness back to my profile when I go comment on those company posts. And then they see everybody at Elevance I'm connected with too, which makes them probably wonder, well, who's this guy and what's he up to? That kind of thing. So I don't know if Chris, if that would help you, but maybe if you're trying to sell to the CMO of a big company, maybe go follow that company and comment, because the CMO, you're lucky. CMOs copy a lot. COOs don't. So, and that's who I'm trying to chase down. So I'm trying to surround the COO because they're not real active, but maybe that's a direct line that you could get visibility in. I'm just a suggestion. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Very good one.
I have something to share with you guys if you guys are interested.
Yeah, go for it, Jeremy.
I don't know if you saw I was part of an article. A company called National Seating Mobility. They're the largest wheelchair, power chair distributor in the country. And they did an article on me. They posted it, on LinkedIn, and I shared it with my community. But I also reached out directly to the brand new CEO of that company, shared them that article, and I just had a meeting with him on Monday. So just, hey, well, I'd like to get to know each other. Would you be interested in a meeting? He's like, sure. We talked for half an hour, and it was a great conversation. And I'd like to do more work with that company, but it was just reaching out to get to know him. And he's more than interested, to do it. And so it happens the guy he's from Germany. My mom's side of the family is German. I'm half German, half Dutch. And so we got just to talking about that, had nothing really to do with business at all. And so I'm thinking of what you're talking about now. I mean, would you think it'd be a good idea to create a post and tag him in on this? I don't have any photos, but, just talking about, hey, I'm from Germany, and, and relate it back.
Yeah, I would, Jeremy, I think that's great. And look, anytime we have a chance to tag, we create the opportunity to tag, especially somebody like a CEO in a company. I would write a post and reference the conversation and what you valued about it, and tag him, tag his company. You could tag a couple of the people that you connected with to create the article. Even without the picture, for me, pictures are best, but if you don't have one, you go to second best.
Right.
and tag away. I think that's great.
I think I hopped on a little late. It's just the timing of this. It's just I'm off by like 20 minutes. Like, oh, I gotta hurry up. But I made it. But I got in right when Chris was talking. Chris is targeting, kind of the same, people I am, where it's like you want to
Mhm.
build connections more with the people, you want to work with, which are the marketing folks and, HR folks and event folks. And so yeah, that's where I'm at as well.
If I
Any-
could
any-
jump in there,
Yeah.
Jeremy, one of the things I thought about that too, Jeremy, is you're thinking about posting with the CEO and his company. Think of yourself as his marketing tool or his, how can you market him? How can you make him look good in your post?
Right.
Right. As you repost it or as, so that it take the limelight off of yourself,
Right.
put it on him, put it on his company. You'll get a lot of cred about that.
That's a great idea. I'm going to do that.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
For sure. Hey, do you guys remember this? Some of you have been around a while. Post, tag, and praise, never about you. I haven't beat that into the ground lately. Post, tag, and praise, never about you. I kind of sing-songed it, so I remembered it. But we post, we tag people, we praise them. We don't make it about us. Just remembering that is kind of a constant when we go to post. Helps a lot. That was perfect, Michael. Thank you for that. Anything else?
Can I add a follow-up question on that to Michael and you, Brandon, Jeremy? Is in this particular case where you're taking, not the conversation wasn't necessarily private, right? But you're taking something you discussed and you're flipping it around and you're going to put it back out there and you're going to create it in such a way where it's a benefit. Has anybody ever had something like that blow up in their face? In other words, I guess, would you reach out to said CMO and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this here. I just wanted to give you a heads up and or ask if it's okay, or I don't know, just a thought on getting permission to kind of go that direction before you do it.
Me personally, I think it all comes back to how well the conversation went with that person.
Yeah.
If it was a natural, authentic conversation where, both parties, it's like, hey, you're cool, I'm cool, hey, this is great, then it's natural, but if it was forced and honky and weird, it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea,
Right.
What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, my thought is, if you post, Jeremy, it's like, hey, some of I was featured in this article, about my wheelchair, and I had the opportunity to actually pick up the phone and call the CEO of the manufacturer of my wheelchair, and we had a great conversation. And I have to tell you, the culture of his company, our conversation was absolutely fantastic. If you have any need to use his services, I highly recommend him. Right? Nobody is going to say no to that.
Right. Yep. I mean, they're the company themselves they're tagging and sharing the crap out of the article too. So yeah, I mean, it's a win-win-win for everybody, really.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Look, I've never had anything blow up by tagging people that I was uncertain. Years ago, I was very nervous to tag people because I felt like I might be overstepping or being too presumptuous or something. I'm not anymore because number one, the same thing that like Michael was saying, I don't make it that it's about me and I'm trying to leverage their popularity or their social cred. I always try to make it to be grateful for their time and promote them and all that. So I've never had anything blow up, but it is definitely something we should be aware of, that we're not trying to use people's credibility. That I think would either, they may say something, or worse, for me, they don't say anything, but it pissed them off. They're kind of at a distance. Any other things you're observing, you're noticing, you're having wins with, or any frustrations with. And then I've got a little thing I want to go through with you guys, but I think you guys learning from each other is always really important.
You know, one thing I wanted to add was I always felt like I needed to try to get a post out by a certain time, and having just come from the West Coast where I'm 3 hours off, like it wasn't happening. It just, I kind of did what I needed to do, like kind of where you're at today, Brandon. Here we are at almost noon, right? Haven't put anything up. I haven't done either. But what I would say is that it doesn't, I don't think it really matters. Now, granted, I'm not going to do something at midnight when I'm going to bed and I can't respond to anything, but it's less about the actual time that it goes up, and it's about kind of your activity at that time and trying to just, you know, have a little bit of a ramp going into it, and then also the time to engage after it hits. I think that's a lot more important than the actual time itself. You know, I think most of my contacts are East Coast based, but it's kind of growing in all different directions, right? There's more and more people I'm talking to in Europe, and there's more and more people in the West Coast. So I think the timing is a lot less important than maybe I thought it was initially.
Chris,
Yeah.
one of the things, if I may, Brandon, one of the things that I think was the best upgrade to LinkedIn they threw in there a couple of years ago is the scheduling feature on posts. So like when you go to create a post, there's a little button that says schedule, and you can schedule it for a time in the future, just to hit, you know, your target market's time, because inspiration can strike at any moment, but it's like, I'm not posting at 2:30 in the morning.
I was doing a fair amount of that, where I was building the post at night and I was launching it in the morning. But I guess what I was more concerned with, like, I want this to hit at 8 o'clock or 8:30, right? When people are checking their, you know, kind of goofing around and getting started with work. But what I found was if I wasn't personally engaged, it didn't really matter. It just kind of sat there. It did nothing. So
Yeah.
I
That
agree,
makes
it's
sense.
a good tool, but you got to be engaged at that same time. You can't schedule
Yep.
it for something and be like, oh, I'll get to that a couple hours later and it's going to do anything. Because I think without your involvement, it's most likely going to die on the vine.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's good practice to be active a little bit before and for a bit after you post. It's not always possible. And so that's where the schedule is great. All right. Anything else, please jump in. I've got a few things I wanted to go through with you guys. I'm not going to put this in presentation form, but this is the mindset piece, guys, that I really want to emphasize. There's a lot of different tactics and strategies and time that I post, and do I engage with other people before I post. All that stuff is good. Don't get me wrong. It's important. It's all the different nuances that make a difference and move the needles better and faster. But I want to keep coming back to this graphic, this model, because this is the mindset. I think we're all there, but I want to make sure that this is what's driving us. The people on the left down at the bottom, they represent all those people that we want to meet and we don't know. And our goal is to try and move them into this. And I know this doesn't look like a funnel, but I keep saying, like, this is a modern funnel. If you take the traditional funnel wide at the top and small at the bottom, the goal is always get as many people as you can up at the top and see if the process, the nurturing process, can, you know, kick out a few people at the bottom that are purchasing. And it's very inefficient, and it creates a lot of very inefficient actions. That's why we created the SDR model, and we created all this email automation and all this stuff that was just trying to get as many people as you can up at the top of the funnel. What we're doing with selling, it's still a funnel. It's just this thing. And I've been calling it a flywheel to unstick your funnel. We want to move them, all of our actions, all of your behavior, all your comments, all your posts, the tone and the style in which you engage with people should be influenced by these 4 points. We want to move them to be a healthy connection. I distinguish healthy connection because a lot of us have connections and we can send out a bunch of connections and people can accept it. For me, a healthy connection is somebody who has a higher likelihood or a higher willingness to move into a conversation with me, which you see as the next step. So how do we develop that as a healthy connection instead of just getting a LinkedIn term of, oh, we're connections? Who cares? They accepted your connection request. They accepted yours. Doesn't matter unless we actually move it into some sort of a conversation. The next step is getting them to willing to converse, engage. This is a couple of things. Is our content capturing their attention and enticing them to engage with us? And that's where things like our different selfies and stuff, moving them into our system. And I'm not saying do a selfie every day. You guys know I'm not being extreme. But what are we putting out there from content, from pictures, tagging people? Like for me, obviously tagging Seth and his company because they're my clients and I'm serving them, but tagging, going out and spending time with Will and tagging him and Infor, which is, I didn't realize they're as big as they were, but they're the third largest ERP company in the world. Giving us that credibility, it's always that awareness and developing interest that if I'm hanging out with Will and Infor, I'm hanging out with Seth in Competitive Solutions, I'm actually leveraging part of their credibility into their existing networks. So does all of that stuff help people who see it increase their willingness to either talk with me or engage with me and therefore my content? That's the mindset that we're trying to get somebody through. And halfway through this, I want to pause and just say, remember, I'm not talking about, are you creating sales opportunities? Is your content getting people to want to get on the phone with you? It's more of willing to converse, let me rephrase that, willing to do a demo. We want to get them to willing to converse with us. So we're doing this activity that our content is educating them, but our content is also entertaining them a little bit. And we're demonstrating our own humanity because we know on the bottom, people still choose, when they have a choice, they're going to choose to do business with people they like or who are like them. And in old school, we would ask for the meetings, and then during meetings, we'd say, oh, can we go to lunch? And that's where we're trying to display our likability and get to know them and all that. We don't have that luxury anymore. We have to display that throughout the process of creating our content and sharing our content and commenting and doing all that. That's what we're trying to show them, like, hey, this is who I am. Knowing that not everybody, I have a client whose CEO is just like, Grant, I understand your content. I'm not doing that. I'm not asking you to do it like I do it, but understand the why of what I do with my content. And then if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I get it. But I'm not saying go out and do content exactly like me. He's like, I don't understand why you talk about your family all the time. I said, that's who I am. That's what's important to me. And he doesn't talk about his family at all. And that's okay. But keep that mindset that we're doing this to get people to know a little bit about us, to start to figure out when they want to be in a conversation with us, am I somebody that resonates with them, that they would be interested in having a beer with, type of thing. And that needs to drive a lot of the tone and the type of content that we do. Cups, your selfie of Panera and your explanation of tea, I thought it was excellent. And then when we do our actions behind it of connecting with people or sending them hey, I saw that you liked it, I hadn't talked to you for a while, just sending a quick message to say, hi, I hope you're doing well, just to stay top of mind and being in front of them. Then our content and the oomph, the meat, the education, the expertise of our content is where we start to develop and moving them into that desire to learn to a point that they're ready to do business. I like this graphic a lot because it should frame our mindset in everything that we do. It should be everything that we're creating, from a content, from comments to, should I send them a message? All of this is the new way of looking at it. And as passive as it may feel compared to, do you want a demo? Do you want a demo? I got this thing. Would you like to talk about it? What I'm learning is this is actually accelerating the process. I shared one with you the other day of a message. I've been getting a couple more, like couple a week, that some way that I'm connecting with people, some way that I'm sending a note going, hey, I saw that you liked my post and hope you're doing well. We haven't talked for a while. All of those, more people are using that to then engage me. And what it looks like is, hey, I saw you liked my post the other day. Thanks so much. I hope you're doing well. We haven't chatted for a while. And the response is, I've been really enjoying your content around creating demand versus capturing demand. I'd actually like to learn more about it. Could we schedule a call? They weren't to the position where they were ready. Like, the pain may not have been strong enough that they are actually reaching out to talk to me about it right now. But because I reached out in a casual, conversational, relational way, their response said, hey, I'd like to talking to you. And one of them was like, hey, I'm not quite ready to make any decisions, but I'd love to talk to you. You know, I want to keep learning more from your content. And I followed back. I said, well, let's get on a call and chat. Let me know how I can help you. No pressure. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. But if between now and then, anything I can do to help you think about what's going on with your team and some of the challenges you're facing, I'd love to be a resource for you anytime. Do you want to schedule a call? And it was, gosh, I'd love to. Thank you. I appreciate it. And now we've got a call scheduled. What am I doing? I'm establishing myself now so that when that need is there and the budget is there, I'm going to be the answer, because I'm just willing to keep focus on being known and liked and trusted. And if I'm giving my time to him for free to help him solve his problems, am I going to move down the know, like, and trust scale? Absolutely. And simultaneously, the conversations we're having and the data I'm sharing, or the stories I'm sharing with them, or the fact that I get his challenges and what he's going through, it's moving me up the more awareness to more interest to actually creating that demand, where I am going to be that answer when they're ready. All right, my monologue's over. My Fathom is telling me that I've been speaking too much. I put it over to you guys as we wrap up. What are your thoughts? How is this resonating? Looking at that slide and that flow, what's coming to mind? What can you be doing differently? What can you be doing better? What are you doing already now that's really good? What's happening?
I'll go back to just thinking about last week's, and I was kind of half engaged at that point. I feel like where I need to go with my content is educating more and identifying more challenges, and just kind of, getting more on top of that. I think that my personal stuff does well and people comment like, I really like what you're doing on LinkedIn. I think for myself, that next kind of level, that next step up is, how do I get even more kind of granular with some of the challenges that that my ideal customer profile is going through, and then how we can help them with that, and doing it in a non-salesy way, right? Just an educational way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my next challenge, and as well, and I think that's going to run concurrent or hand in hand with, how do we get more people that are ideal customers in my, in my followership or connected to me. And I think you know, having that content that resonates and speaks to them and be like, yeah, that's the freaking problem I'm having right now. Like, how do we get through this? I don't know the answer to that yet, but I think that's what I know I need to do.
And keep testing content and the way that you phrase the content. You know, I picked up the create demand versus capture demand and started running with that more because it's something I've talked about, but I didn't talk about it enough because I don't know, a month or plus ago, I did a post and I mentioned it and I realized there was a bunch of comments about that. Like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on there? So the next week I did another post that was like the difference between creating demand and capturing demand. And it got a lot of play. It got a lot of engagement. It got a lot of impressions. And then I started, because I'm trying to pay attention, I was like, I need to take that theme and go to the next level with it. So I threw it into Jeanette and said, hey, here's a key topic that we really need to highlight. How do we go and do this more? And now she's working on carousels around it, and we're incorporating it into some of our webinar content and things like that. So the learning for that, guys, is you're testing different things. Like, start keying on, like, what are people picking up on? What are they resonating with? And then recreate it again, see where it goes. And then, like this one for me, it's going to become a theme for the next quarter and see where it goes. I know we're coming up to the top of the hour. Any other thoughts, comments, requests? I want to start talking next week about getting into some deeper content, like I talked about a couple of weeks ago. And I want to start looking at how we can go about and create that deeper content. But any other topics that you guys want me to address or you're thinking about, shoot those over to me or throw them in our group chat or send them, just text me, whatever. I want to make sure I'm really hitting your guys' big need spots.
One thing for me is Chris with the comments on the group chat.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I at least, say I'm not entirely at fault because it actually said that very same thing in the picture. So I just, I reiterated what was in front of me and yeah, that was inappropriate. Sorry.
I was cracking up.
Whoops.
Hopefully the ladies have a sense of humor too. Otherwise, they would have chimed in and called you an asshole or something. Who knows? But
yeah,
I don't know.
I've been called that by ladies in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to duplicate that situation. It does create quite the the illustration in your head though.
Yeah, for sure.
See you, Seth.
All
righty, guys.
right.
Let me know what else I can do. A couple things while you guys are still here. I've got a webinar coming up next week that I'm going to start sharing. If you guys would be so kind to either reshare it or tell people about it that you think would find value in it, I'd really appreciate it. Adam, I'm waiting to hear back from Scott.
Cool. I have a meeting with him in 1 minute, so
okay, cool.
I'll ping him about that. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
all right. And
Take
Chris,
care.
we'll talk about webinar and if I'm putting my butt on a plane to come to Boston and all that stuff when you're ready.
awesome.
Cool.
And I'm really kicking myself for not coming to Modex now. I've gone to that shoot show like 3 out of the last 5 years.
Oh, bummer.
I know. That's like when I used to sell metal fabrications. That was our show because we had customers all over that place. So
Yeah, Modex was huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I kept hearing 30,000 and somebody told me there was like 40,000 people there.
yeah, I actually had a client call yesterday. He was at the show. And I'm like, man, I could have been down there. We could have done this in person.
I know it was busy because it took me 2 hours, a little under 2 hours to get off the freeway and park my car. And it's about two plus miles.
Oh crap.
It's right. You just pull it over and just walk.
Well, I wasn't in parts of town. I wanted to leave my car.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, gotta run. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
See you guys.
See ya. Thanks.